Welcome back to Edgework, presented by FanDuel as part of the Hammer Betting Network. I'm Alex Moretto, joined here today by So Money Sports to break down a crazy weekend in the NHL. A couple of Game 7s unfolded before our eyes, and they were everything that we could have wanted and more. We will start on Saturday, So Money. Let's just get right into it here, honestly. The Avs, once our Avs, no longer our Avs, take a 2-0 lead early in the third period via Nathan MacKinnon. Maybe one that Ottinger would have wanted back. A couple of group chats I was in, like talking like, all right, this one feels over now. Like Avs are through here. And the Stars, Mikko Rantanen just put the team on his back. Insane third period. You could not have written a worse script if you were an Avs fan. Man, take me through that game and what you were feeling and your thoughts coming out of that one, because I had some strong feelings coming out of that game.
Yeah, during the game, I had a range of emotions. I thought that Colorado was doing a good job grinding the game down. They were up 2-0 in the third period. Everything looked good, but then, Rantanen took over, right? And that's sometimes you just get beat by elite talent, and that's what ended up happening. I don't know why. Colorado sat back a little bit in the third period too. Like I don't understand these guys, right? Like, and yeah, so Colorado sat back a little bit. Dallas kept coming in waves. Couple of weaker calls there, but you got to kill off those penalties.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that Dallas penalty was a weak call as well. So it goes both ways. Dallas deserved it. They fought back and they took advantage of their opportunities, whereas the Avs were just like they thought they were safe after being up 2-0, and it's just you can't do that in this league. Like we see it on like a nightly basis, and we see it in like the regular season as well. Like it's not the old NHL where you can get away with just sitting on leads.
Yeah. Avs now fall to 0-5 in Game 7s with Nathan MacKinnon on the team, which is a stat that I've read and seen about 300 times over the last few days, and I still cannot believe that is true. They've never won a Game 7 with Nathan MacKinnon, 0-5. Honestly, I had coming out of that one, I tweeted this prematurely in Game 6, where it felt like the Stars were just kind of destined at this point. Like they had been knocking on the door for the last few years. Obviously losing the conference finals last year. They were pretty banged up at that point last year. They lose to Edmonton. Year before, again, I believe conference finals it was, just fall short against Vegas. They've been so close, and it felt like what they were doing against the Avs, it just felt like they were ready to blow the door open and deliver on that potential that we had been talking about for so many years now. Going to get Rantanen, going to get Heiskanen back, going to get Robertson back. It feels like this is the year for Dallas. The way they came back in that game, the way everything has kind of come together for them in round one, whatever. It just felt like I'm like, this is the year. This is it. Like DeBoer's doing an incredible job. The vibes are incredible. I am ready to go in on some Stars futures. And then the game last night happened, and I'm like, all right, like Jets are cooked. It is what it is. Hellebuck, I don't even know what you do from here with him. Like, I don't know how the Jets, pick themselves up after this loss. And it was not a loss. They come back in insane fashion, tie the game with 1.9 seconds left or whatever it was. Cole Perfetti, just some unbelievable hands. That first goal was disgusting too. And yeah, Jets find a way. They find a way to win. And now I'm sitting here like, whew, that's the kind of win that propels a team to a cup right there. That's the kind of win where like the monkey's off your back. You've exercised some demons in like the most insane fashion. And now it's like, all right, we didn't blow it. We're here. We got this. Maybe Hellebuck, who looked dialed in overtime, is now all of a sudden like figuring it out a little bit. And, he needed his team to pick him up from that terrible first round. He's going to figure it out now going forward in the second round. I don't know, but all I know is I was certain a couple days ago that this felt like Dallas's year. And 24 hours later, I am certain about nothing. And it feels like this could also be the Jets' year. And it also feels like it could be the Oilers' year again. So the West is an absolute mess to me right now, and I don't know what to make of this.
there's like 5 teams of destiny right now, right? So take your pick, right? It could be like I can make the same case you made for Dallas for the other 4 teams as well. That like this is the year that they finally figured it out, right?
Mhm.
So and that's the great thing about the playoffs, right? It's all about the matchups. I'm not as high on Dallas in this series against Winnipeg.
Mhm.
I think stylistically it favors the Jets a little bit more, and there's also the human element of just taking a breath. Like you get to
Mhm.
exhale, right? Like you after years of like the same thing happening over and over again in the first round, you were finally able to break the cycle, and now you can breathe. And that was kind of the sentiment I felt after the Chicago series in a 2011 for the Canucks. That the same thing keeps happening over and over again. You finally were able to break through. So just you can exhale now and you can play your game. And I think the Jets game translates better versus the Stars compared to what the Blues were able to how the Blues were able to muck it up against the Jets. I don't think the Stars can play that same way. The Stars are a better team than the Blues, but I think it might be a more favorable matchup for the Jets than we kind of realize at this point.
Uh, so I am in agreement. I saw we might as well just jump right into that because we saw where the series opened up. There were some look aheads and everything, and now we're at a point where the Stars on FanDuel right now minus 166 Stars in
Yeah,
that series, Jets plus 138. Elsewhere, if you look, I think the Jets have even touched like plus 140, maybe even 145 at some places, depending on where you look. That's just way, yeah, 152. See, go 152 on the Jets at a market maker, which is a strong indication of where this line is heading. That is it's just way too big. Like on Saturday night, if you told me, um, where's your head at with this, the West, obviously everything is price dependent, but I was like ready to be full in on the Stars here. I am completely out on the Stars at this number. This is an insane number. I am a little bit nervous about, what the situation is with Josh Morrissey. How healthy is he? Scheifele as well. Obviously, I can't imagine the Scheifele thing is anything long term. Just the way you see that hit over and over, it's got to be something more like concussion related or something like that. I'd like to think it's not a long term thing. Again, we don't know. His status is obviously up in the air. Morrissey, I have no idea what the situation is with him. The fact that he couldn't come back last night. I don't know how many big games this guy's going to miss, but he's missed a lot of big games in his career. Been injured in the playoffs before, obviously the Four Nations as well. But yeah, even without those guys, like obviously it's a tall task to ask the Jets to win without those guys. But you'd imagine they'll play some role in the series, if not the entire series. This number, in my opinion, is way too big, and I will be because of the number. I wasn't sure who I wanted to back like in my head in this one, but now just seeing where the number is, I'm forced into a lot of Jet stuff, and I'm going to be on the Jets again in round two.
yeah. I'm going to be on the Jets as well. It's just it is of course the price, but it's also like
Mm-hmm.
I just like I said, I don't think it's as big of a mismatch as even when I'm reading the chat here. I understand the points. I just don't see how the Stars roll here. The Stars probably win this series. They should win this series, but I think that the Jets can. I don't think that they're going to roll in this series though.
Uh, I am at a point where like I'm terrified about going too in on this Jets team, but like we talked about this in our playoff preview, how we liked the Jets prices going into the playoffs. There were some bigger numbers there for a team that was very, very good. So I am sitting on Jet stuff already. I'm going to be adding more Jet stuff because they are the second longest odds right now, before the Caps, to win the Cup. They have the longest odds in the West, currently plus 400. Everyone else is short of plus 300. There's just not a lot of respect right now, market respect for this Jets team, and I can't quite explain why. I understand how things looked in round one, and they almost got bounced by the Blues, but like the team itself played very, very well. For the most part, there were obviously some rough periods and some rougher moments, but like for the most part, they were in control of that series. They had the ice tilted for large stretches of it. Hellebuck just could not make a save, and I know it's terrifying to back Hellebuck based on what we saw in round one, what we've seen in the playoffs in the past, but like you have to at one point just trust that like he's good at figure it out and he's too good to not figure it out. It's scary, but like, yeah, I'm going to be on a lot of Jet stuff in a lot of different ways for, round 2 and for the rest of these playoffs. So yeah, go Jets. I mean, that's the bandwagon I'm kind of hopping on right now. The other West series is the Oilers and the Knights. I am now pretty invested in this Oilers team as well. We haven't seen a ton of movement. There was some plus money in for them to win the series at some points, but hasn't moved all that much. Kind of basically a pick 'em, no matter where you look at this point. Where are you at in this Edmonton Vegas series?
I like Edmonton, and I pick Edmonton to win this series, but I won't be betting them to win the series. I think that there's no. I think that the series price is fair. I can see how it would be essentially a pick 'em here. And it's again matchup dependent, right? If the Oilers are getting depth throughout their lineup now, if they're getting secondary scoring, that means they have more depth in their forward group than Vegas does right now. With Ekholm coming back in the next little bit here, hopefully, I think, and with the back end of the Vegas defense struggling a bit, I think that dare I say the Oilers have an advantage on a defense as well. Goaltending, Hill hasn't been that great, but I'll still give Vegas the edge in goal. I think that Hill has enough of a pedigree to show that he can carry the load, whereas Pickard, assuming Pickard is starting, he just doesn't have the body of work yet, right? So right now I like the Oilers quite a bit, and also in terms of the style of play too, Vegas does have top end talent; they can score, but they also want to play a defensive game as well. That's what the Kings wanted to do, and I feel that the Kings have more top end talent than Vegas does, and the Kings are better defensively, and the Oilers just made them look like however they made them look when the Oilers turned it on. So I think that the transition from the Kings to Vegas is a better stylistic transition for the Oilers than the move from the Wild to the Oilers that Vegas is going to be going through.
So got a comment from Connor here. Moretto, you're fading Vegas. I'm shocked. Yeah, I know. I've never faded Vegas in my life, right? I've never doubted this team, and I've never once been burned from doubting this team. But I am here again, not learning my lesson, and I am doubting Vegas. I am on the Oilers. Right now at FanDuel, -102. That is the best price in market that you can find at current in terms of series prices. Oilers -102. I'm good with that. I am pretty big on this Oilers team in round 2. I think some of it is obviously price related. Some of it is a little bit narrative-y, but like I trust my eyes and I trust what I'm seeing as well. Pietrangelo looked slow. Hanifin looked tired. McNabb was a little bit off the pace in the first round. The blue line really struggled against the Wild lines that could play with speed. The Hartman line, the way Kaprizov and Boldy just carved through them with regularity. It was concerning to me. It was eye-opening. Vegas did not look ready to match that speed whatsoever. They looked slower. They looked worn down, and Edmonton plays with way more speed. That is going to be a terrifying matchup for this blue line. Also, Eichel looks injured, off. I don't know what the situation is there, but he was really bad in round 1. And they're not as deep as they once were up front. They need Eichel to be fantastic in this series to have a chance as that 1C, and he did not look anything close to that. He was outplayed. Every time he was matched up against that top line, he was, he came out second. It was rough from him. I don't know what was going on, if he was battling an injury or if, it was just general fatigue or what, but Eichel did not look up for it in round 1, and it's about to get much harder for them. So I don't know. Vegas to me just looks like a team that's a little bit, they're obviously very, very good. I'm not trying to put them down and say this is not a good hockey team and they're about to get walked, but they just looked slower. And it was really underwhelming against their power play was bad. The penalty kill was bad. They weren't that great at 5-on-5 in the first round. Nothing was really going well for them. They just kind of found a way to squeak by Minnesota, and it was very uninspiring. They won a game that they should have lost because of, obviously they should have lost, but that offside goal was, it was an offside. But it had nothing to do with the play. They won that game. They win an overtime game with a late comeback. I don't know. It just, a lot of things kind of went right for them in this one. I feel like the Oilers are just picking up steam and they're trending in the right direction, whereas Vegas is just kind of on borrowed time. And we're getting a little bit of a cheap price for me. And that matching with what I've seen so far, which I trust what I've seen. I am pretty invested in these Oilers in round 2. So
yeah, and just one other note there too. Yesterday, Ryan Rishaug had a tweet there. Oilers Skinner was in the starting net yesterday.
Yes,
I'm a noted Skinner truther, so I mean, it's fine. I think that we saw it last year as well. And we mentioned it last week that for whatever reason, Skinner sometimes needs that reset, and sometimes it comes in like right in the smack dab in the middle of a series, right? And I think that if he is going to start, I'm totally fine with that. I think that that gives him a reset, and he's shown that he can play well after these resets as well. So, I mean, Pickard, he's done his job, and we touched on the Nobble press conference last week, where after one of the games, after the last game actually, where he said that he kept referring to Pickard as the backup goalie, and that and he kept referring to Skinner's reset. So I think it's very likely that we'll probably see Skinner in game 1.
Yeah, and I was talking before the show with the producer, and I think that is the right call. I do think they should be going to Skinner for game 1, and I feel that gives me a lot more confidence that the Oilers know what they need to be doing here to win this series. Dallas Stars Nation from Mike Vivian, who was live tweeting a video when they were down 2-0 of giving a Stars eulogy, and now he is back. He is back and believing in the Stars once again. That is the playoffs. That is the playoffs.
The range of emotions is wild.
I will. We talked already about the Eastern Conference playoff series last week because they were both decided a while ago. We knew the prices. We knew everything we kind of needed for them. So we've already touched on those. You can go back and watch last week's episodes if you want to. I'll give you the floor one more time here to see if anything's changed regarding your thoughts, anything else you are betting here, anything else you have bet, or just kind of where you are with these 2 Eastern Conference playoff series.
Yeah, I think that the Carolina love has gotten a little out of control here. We know that the market loves Carolina, so it's not surprising. But matchup wise, I think that Washington is right there. Washington is a big team that can skate. That's the kind of team that can give Carolina problems. New Jersey
has given Carolina problems.
Yeah, exactly. And like New Jersey was trying to do that, but I mean they were just too banged up, right? And like when New Jersey was able to play a heavier game for the period of time in that series where they were able to, we saw that even a banged up New Jersey team gave Carolina problems. I don't think we can view this Washington team the same way that we used to view this team, especially after they did break through, they did win the cup. But even this, even the retooled version of this Washington team, they are built the right way. They're built for the playoffs. Everybody is heavy. That forward group, that's a heavy forward group, and they can get in on the forecheck as well. So, and Logan Thompson has been he's been fine. I don't think that there's any indication that I see that he's going to struggle going forward. I think he's going to provide the goaltending that he has been providing them, right? So
he was dialed in game 1, in round 1.
Yeah. So like I don't see anything that makes me think that we should expect anything different. Obviously the performances range within a certain range, but I don't think we're going to see any strong deviations there. I think Washington is live in this series. I can't, and this price is. I'm waiting how much longer it gets here, but I think Washington is live here.
Yeah, we have until Tuesday. Obviously, this series doesn't start until tomorrow night. Plus 151 available elsewhere as well. I don't see any reason to rush getting involved. I can't imagine there's going to be any sort of influx in Caps money. And I do think if there is some Caps money that comes in, the Carolina money that has lived in the market all year long will just buy it right back anyways. So I'm not overly concerned about missing out on any prices here. But yeah, same thing as we talked about last week. I will be on the Caps in this series just because this is too big of a number. I do have some Canes, like Canes East and Canes Cup stuff from earlier, but I mean, this is getting outrageous now. The point we're at here, like minus 170. I mean, we've seen the Canes really struggle with these teams that can get in there and forecheck back and hit them and wear them down and, get good goaltending and timely scoring, which is exactly what Washington has. Carolina's always struggled with that timely scoring that has consistently let them down. I don't necessarily see a ton of reasons why this year would be any different. Logan Thompson is obviously fantastic too. As Adam's Digest puts in the chat here, Logan Thompson, Conn Smythe locked in this morning plus
why not?
4,000, 40 to 1 there. I love that look too. I definitely really, really do like that look. So, all right, we're pretty aligned on that one there. There is one more series, which we've already talked about, but we will just talk about game one tonight instead. Before we do, the NHL playoffs are underway. Round 2 is about to begin, and FanDuel is your home for live betting all these playoff series with new features like live SGPs, build a parlay, any game, any period, or stack multiple matchups onto one slip with same game parlay plus. And what's better than playoff hockey? Overtime playoff hockey. Get more from the game with live overtime markets. Right now, new customers can kick off the season with 200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Just place any $5 bet and you'll get 200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download FanDuel today and get more with North America's #1 sportsbook. Please play responsibly. Must be 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in DC, or 19 plus and physically located in Ontario. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-866-531-2600 or visit connexontario.ca. 100-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit Gambling Helpline MA.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 sport in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right, so running just one game for us tonight. The NHL draft lottery is ruining our plans here as it goes off at 7, and then we have to sit around and wait till 8 o'clock for the only game of the night. But the first game of round 2, the Florida Panthers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Leafs are dogs here in round 1, I guess, as is sort of expected. Plus 105, Panthers minus 126, a total of 5.5, minus 120 to the under, minus 102 to the over on FanDuel. So Money, I know where your head is at. So, I mean, just why don't you take us through why your head is there?
So I think that I've heard it a lot this weekend. I fully acknowledge that I'm head to head against a lot of my colleagues here. I don't know what else to say. I'm high on the Leafs. I bet them today, tonight. I like them plus money. I'm also betting the under 5.5 for the game up to minus 120, and I also bet them for the series. Another situation where, look, this is nothing against Florida. I know that Florida is a juggernaut. I fully acknowledge that. The way that I see this Leafs team is that, again, similar to where I view the Jets, it's about matchups, and it's about the stylistic matchup, right? So, like, you went from an Ottawa series where Ottawa was that was a very tight series, and I thought that Toronto equipped themselves very well in that series. I thought that they made the adjustments that they need to do. It was ugly. No, Toronto didn't look great in that series, but that wasn't a series where anybody was going to look great winning that series. So I don't think you can, even if Ottawa had won that series, I don't think you can knock them either, right? That was an ugly series, and it was designed to be played that way. Mm-hmm. So Toronto feels comfortable playing those kind of games, and we've seen that all year as well. Now we go to a Florida series where Florida is okay playing that game as well, but Florida has better scoring talent. However, we've seen throughout the whole season that Florida can go through stretches where it takes them a while to get going, or like the offense dries up, right? So, and if that happens, and if we get into these 2-1 games, I think that Toronto is better equipped this year to handle that. The difference between this series and the previous series, where they got rolled by the Panthers, was that I felt that after that Tampa Bay series, after Toronto finally won that series, there was a lot of there was an element of breakthrough, and like that's it. We've done our job, and then they went up against a Florida team that was all business, and Florida took care of them pretty easily. I don't see that happening this year. I see this Toronto team as there's no feeling that they've done their job. I think that there's still ways to go for this team, and and that's the way that I view it. I could be wrong. If you talk to the people that I talked to this weekend, they think I'm going to get smoked, but I gotta stay true to my numbers here. I do like Toronto here for this series and for the game tonight.
Fair enough. So you bet the Leafs and you bet the under?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna challenge you on either. I didn't bet either. I wanted to bet some unders. I know like both these teams really struggle to kind of generate and struggle to score, and we know how this is going to be played. It's going to be a little bit of a war. Two good goalies in there, but it's pretty adjusted for a game one. I feel like game one, maybe you see the teams kind of get their, anger towards each other out, some frustrations, whatever. These teams obviously don't really like each other. Maybe a lot more power play opportunities. Both teams can really burn you on the power play. So I've just sort of stayed off of this under for now. I do anticipate betting them as we get into this series a little bit more. Look, I'm not going to dispute your Leafs bet at this number in game one. I am far less bullish on this team than you are. I don't know. I mean, everyone keeps saying this team is different. I don't see what's different about them. They've been worse in pretty much every metric all year, and including, the eye test. It's just they've had a much better goalie, and their power play has been scoring at a good clip for now. So we'll see if they can keep it up. I'm not dying to bet Florida at these prices either, so I'm not going to be betting them at these prices. They're going to need someone to step up, though. They're going to need one of those big guys to actually go in and be a game breaker. Like we've seen, what needs to be done to win these tight series, like what Rantanen's done, what McKinnon's done in the past, 12 points in a series, what McDavid, Draisaitl, what these guys have done. We've never seen that from any of these Leafs guys. So we'll see if they can get that from someone, because they don't have the depth scoring that is required here, right? Like you don't need like a Tkachuk or a Reinhart to go out and put up 10 points for them to win this series, because they have 3-4 lines that are going to score goals. If the Leafs can get that, good. Then they have a chance here. If Stolarz can, outplay Bobrovsky, they have a chance. The timing to bet the Leafs, I'd say, in game one is good. Coming off that little bit of a break for Florida, I think this is probably the one spot where if I was going to be betting any Leafs, this would be the spot for it for sure. I think game one, they have a chance at home to start the series strong. Coming off that layoff, it has different effects on different teams. You can kind of catch them off guard a little bit. Obviously, no Ekblad tonight, as he is still serving that suspension, which helps significantly. But nothing for me in this one, so we'll go ahead and track those two for you. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this, and then get ready for a couple more series to start tomorrow. This round two should be awesome. I'm really happy that, no disrespect to the Blues, who, they did really well to get there, and Montgomery did a great job, and it was a very successful season for them. I'm not trying to sit here and shit talk the Blues, but really happy we're not sitting here watching the Blues in round two and we get Winnipeg, Dallas. I think that'll be awesome. Now we have 4 series that I am just dying to watch. I think we're going to have 4 series that, famous last words, watch, they're like, none of them are going to go more than 6 games. But it's the way it's these teams, these 8 teams all kind of match up with each other. We could have 4 fantastic series right now. I'm
absolutely
really looking forward to this round two, so.
And like the great thing too is that like I see in the chat, and this is great, right? When we have disagreements, when we view these things differently, like the head-to-heads are great, and this is how we can learn from each other as well, right? So like I see in the chat, and I'm not surprised that right, there's like some comments there about like the Leafs not liking the tough going and stuff, and and the great thing is that we're all gonna find out in a couple of weeks, right? So like that's the great thing about sports. You say what you need to say, you put your money where your mouth is, And then there's a very tangible, quantifiable way to measure these things, whether you're right or wrong. And that's whether you win money or you don't, right? So that's great. And I think we're at the point in the season now where all our opinions, all our numbers are dialed in, and now we lean in, and then now we just measure whether you win or not. That's it.
Yeah. We're going to find out very quickly, very, very quickly. We found out a lot in round one. I had to pivot on a lot of takes and a lot of thoughts I had on certain teams, even teams, not even just teams that lost, but teams that won. I've had to drastically change my opinion of them. I think that is very important in the playoffs. You cannot be so stubborn to stick to how you viewed a team coming into the playoffs, because we don't know everything. Every game is a new piece of information that you have to be willing to, take a lot from and adapt to, and, change your opinions, and don't get stuck on your priors here. So I like to think I've been pretty quick to adjust. I can't wait for round two. 4 fantastic series. Gets underway tonight, and then really, really gets underway tomorrow with a couple of games going. So should be a lot of fun. Leafs and under for So Money tonight. Nothing for myself. And some Jets series stuff, some Jets future stuff from both of us, and then some Oilers series stuff from myself. And then we have some Caps series stuff from both of us as well. We're just kind of waiting to see how far that one runs. All right. Appreciate everyone for joining us today. We will be back again tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, myself and So Money, to react to the first game of round 2 and look ahead to the first 2 games of the Oilers and the Kane series tomorrow night. So appreciate everyone for joining us here. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that stuff before you leave. Until then, enjoy the game tonight, and good luck on your bets.